Today I'm here with Lohi from Lohi's Creation. Lohi will be showing us how to cook some Moin Moin, which is a native Nigerian dish. Please.
Yes, of course. So we're going to be making some Moin Moin today. Moin Moin is actually made from black eyed peas. They're also known as steamed bean puddings in this part of the world. So what you mostly need are some black eyed peas, which can be found at most African stores. You can also find them at some local Mexican supermarkets as well. We're going to need some red bell peppers, some onions, some habanero peppers, and some seasoning. We're going to be using some Knorr cubes today, or you can use any kind of seasoning cubes that you really like. So the first step is actually to make sure that your beans have been soaking for a little bit of time. It just makes it easier for you to blend your beans. So you want to soak them in water, either overnight or actually for a few hours. That's fine. And then the next step is actually to put it in a blender and blend it a little bit, just to make sure that the skins come off, because you actually want it white, like you just want the white parts to show. So I'm just gonna put this is about 1 cup of beans actually here that I'm putting into the blender or the food processor if you have one. And that actually is what you're going to blend. So I'm going to just add the beans in here. I'm going to put in a little bit of water just so that it makes the blend easier, and I'm going to blend it just so that it is good enough for us to use.
So how many Moin Moin will 1 cup of beans make?
1 cup makes about 4.
4?
So that's really good enough, like for if you just want to have 4 serving for like your family. Okay, so I'm gonna blend this now. And you just want to pulse it for about a minute, or like 20 to 30 seconds, and that should give you enough of the skins taken out. So once you get that done, what you want to do is pour the mixture into a bowl, and you're going to pretty much wash the beans and get rid of all the particles.
Of the brown parts.
Of the brown parts, exactly, like the skin.
Yeah.
So the washing part, because you've blended it, it shouldn't take actually so much time. So you're just going to wash, filter, add some more water. Just use your hands and work on it a little bit, and then filter. So by the time you do this 2 or 3 times, as you can see, we're pretty much out of skins now.
You can also use a sifter.
You can also use a sifter if you have one, but because I'm using such a small quantity, this works.
Okay.
Yes. So I've washed it, and we're pretty much out of skins now, if you can see. So it's pretty much all white. So what we're going to do is place it back into the blender. What I'm just going to quickly rinse the blender so we don't have any of the brown parts left in it. And then I'm going to put it back in the blender. And if you want to hold this for me 1 second while I chop some stuff and put it in. So the next step is actually to chop some vegetables. We're going to be chopping some red bell peppers and some tomatoes and adding it into the washed beans, and that's what we're going to be blending. So I'm just going to grab...
Do you have to use a purple onion?
No, you can use white onions, yellow onions. I actually just prefer red onions. They're my favorite kind of onions. I think they're sweet. I like the tartness of them. So I always just use red onions when I can. But you can use any kind of onions. So I'm going to add some onions. And I'm going to add some red bell pepper. This is what makes the color red, the Moin Moin red. If you don't like bell peppers, you don't have to add them, but I think it adds a really nice flavor and a really nice palette to the Moin Moin. If you like very spicy food, you can actually add a habanero pepper. So I'm just going to add half there because we don't have a lot, and we actually want to be able to eat it and it's not like overwhelming. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So I'm just going to add a little water just so that we can blend. And voila, we're ready
to blend.
So you want to blend it till it's like a smooth consistency, and when you touch it, there's no actual like you can't feel it being raw. And I think we've sort of achieved that here. So what you're now going to do is season it. So I'm just going to grab one of our bowls, and then I'm just going to pour it into a bowl.
You're going to use this.
And I'm going to use the Knorr cubes and some salt. Okay. And just going to put that in there. Thank you.
You're welcome. There.
So I'm just going to use 2 just because it's a little bit. So I'm going to add this. You can add any kind of seasoning, and actually when my mom makes this at home, what she does is she adds like boiled eggs, you can add corned beef, you can add tuna, you can add mackerel, anything you really like as a feeling, you can actually add that into this, and it actually makes it a much more like a full meal. So I'm just gonna stir it in and just make sure everything is there. If I was adding like mackerel or corned beef or anything, I would add it now, just because I'm going to actually divide it into my ramekins now. Or
don't you put oil or
yes,
water?
definitely,
Yeah?
definitely.
And I know some people, they cook more and more with like foil.
Yes, because
fire.
Yes, because we live in North America, right?
Yeah.
So back in Nigeria, actually, they make them in leaves.
Oh.
So you can use the leaves to actually make the moi moi. But when you live here and you don't have the leaves, you can actually use foil paper, or you can use what do they call them? Ramekins, like I am using here, or you can use plastic bowls. We added the seasoning cubes, and I'm gonna just do a taste test, and I think it tastes good, but it needs a little bit of salt. So I'm just going to add a pinch of, well, 2 pinches of salt. And I think that's perfect. That should be perfect. That tastes good. So the next thing we're going to do is add some oil into the moi moi. And we're just going to stir it up really well. Make sure everything is properly incorporated. And the next step is, because we use the same ramekin for the oil, the ramekin pretty much already has a lot of oil on the bottom. I'm just going to roll it so that the ramekin is oiled from the bottom to the top.
So why do you need to oil it?
Because when you finish it, you're not going to really serve it in this, you're going to serve it in regular plates. Okay. So you want to make sure it's oiled so that when you want to take it out, it comes out as a whole and it's not messy and like all over the place.
That makes sense.
Yes. So once that's done, we're going to put the moi moi into the ramekin. You want to fill it up about 2/3 of the ramekin bowl, just because you're going to have to steam it in a pot. So you don't want it to be too full, and that way it bubbles over.
Can you also cook in the oven?
Yes, you can. Sometimes actually when I don't have a lot of time to be watching the fire, I just stick it in an oven and I do what we call a bain-marie, which is just putting it inside a baking dish that has water. So you want to put it into a baking dish that has water, and that steams it up. So that's called a bain-marie. Okay. But if I don't feel like doing that and I have some time to watch it, because if it's on the fire, you have to watch it every so often, because you have to make sure that the water level is not too low so that it burns. Okay. So what we're going to do now is put this into the oven. So we're going to place it on bake at 350 degrees and for about 45 minutes. So we're going to wait for the oven to preheat. So it's been about 45 minutes now, so what I'm going to do is take the moi moi out of the oven. It should be ready, it should be properly browned, and it should be formed into a pudding-like texture. So I'm just going to go into the oven right now and grab it. And moi moi is perfectly hot, so I'm just going to place it on here and put it into our plate. It's a little bit warm, so bear with me. I'm going to grab it and get it out of here. Put some tomatoes on this because I do like my fresh tomatoes. I love my fresh vegetables. And I'm just going to put some on it just to add to the taste, really. And we can go ahead and have some moi moi.
Nice.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
You want to try it?
Of course.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you for making this beautiful moi moi. I just had a taste and it tastes so delicious. Thank you once again for making this for my viewers.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much. This is Abby A. telling you where to eat. Thank you and see you soon.